Captain Lisa Mitchell stood tall on the bridge of the Earth Defense Force vessel Intrepid *. Her blue uniform was perfectly pressed, her blonde hair pulled back in a tight bun. This was humanity's moment, their first official meeting with the Galactic Council. After decades of watching the stars and wondering if they were alone, humans had finally made contact with not just one alien species, but an entire community of them. "Captain, we're approaching the council station," said Lieutenant Eric Brown, his fingers dancing across the navigation console. "Thank you, Lieutenant. All senior staff, prepare for docking procedures," Lisa said. Her voice was calm, but inside, her heart raced. The fate of Earth might rest on how this meeting went. The Intrepid docked with a massive space station that served as the headquarters for the Galactic Council. Through the viewports, Lisa could see the strange designs of alien ships, some smooth like water droplets, others angular and mechanical, all different from the practical human vessels. "Remember the mission," Lisa told her team as they prepared to disembark. "We listen, we learn, but we do not agree to anything without proper consideration. Earth has trusted us with its voice." The council chamber was enormous, with a high ceiling that showed the stars beyond through a transparent dome. 12 different alien species sat at a round table, each with their own section. Some looked almost human with 2 arms and 2 legs. Others were completely different, floating masses of tentacles, insect-like beings with compound eyes, or creatures made of what looked like living crystal. Speaker Zixvora of the Araxian Dominion stood as the humans entered. He was tall and thin with blue-gray skin and 4 arms. His eyes, all 6 of them, blinked in sequence as he studied the humans. "Captain Mitchell of Earth, we welcome you to the Galactic Council," Zixvora said, his voice translated through the devices provided to the human delegation. "For 10,000 years, we have maintained peace among the stars. Now, we offer Earth the opportunity to join our civilized community." Lisa nodded respectfully. "Thank you, Speaker. Earth is honored by your welcome. Before you can join," Zixvora continued, "there are certain terms all new species must accept." A holographic display appeared in the center of the room, showing 4 main points. First, humans must reduce their military ships and weapons by 80%. Second, Earth must allow council officials to oversee all new technology. Third, humans must agree to limits on how many children they could have. Fourth, Earth's resources would be shared with other worlds, as the council decided. Lisa read through the terms carefully. The room was silent as the council members watched, expecting the gratitude and quick agreement they usually received from new species desperate to join their ranks. "Speaker Zixvora, members of the council," Lisa finally said, "Earth appreciates your offer. However, we must respectfully decline these terms." A wave of shocked murmurs swept through the chamber. Several council members rose from their seats in outrage. "Decline? No species has ever declined." Zixvora's voice rose, his translator struggling to maintain the proper tone. "Perhaps you do not understand. Without council protection, your species will be vulnerable. Without council trade, your economy will suffer." Lisa remained calm. "We understand perfectly, Speaker. Earth wishes to join the council as an equal member, not as a controlled subject. We are open to fair negotiations that respect our sovereignty." "This is not how the council operates," Zixvora said. His upper arms crossed while his lower arms gestured sharply. "If you leave now, Earth will face trade restrictions. No council world will be permitted to share technology or resources with you." Lisa's expression did not change, but her voice grew cooler. "I must inform you, Speaker, that humans do not negotiate with those who begin relationships with threats. Earth has survived alone for thousands of years. We will continue to do so if necessary." She turned to her team and nodded. "We are leaving." As the human delegation walked out of the council chamber, the aliens erupted in chaos. Some shouted, some argued with each other, some sat in stunned silence. For the first time in their long history, the council faced a species that would not bow to intimidation. The intrepid departed from the station, leaving behind a council that had just experienced the first crack in its foundation of power. 3 months passed after the failed meeting. Admiral Kevin Howard stood at the main window of Earth's orbital defense station. His gray eyes narrowed as he watched the alien ships that now surrounded Earth's solar system. The Council had made good on their threats. 27 warships from various Council species formed a blockade, cutting off Earth from its colonies on Mars and Europa. "Any change in their positions, Lieutenant?" Kevin asked. "No, sir," said Lieutenant Grace Phillips. "They maintain the blockade formation. They're not approaching, but they're not leaving either." Kevin nodded. The situation was tense but stable. Earth's ships patrolled just inside the blockade line, careful not to cross it. President Joe Garcia had been clear in his orders: do not fire first. "Sir, the President is calling for you," Grace said. In the secure communication room, President Garcia's face appeared on the screen. He was a thin man with short gray hair and tired eyes. "Admiral, how are things up there?" he asked. "Unchanged, Mr. President. The Council ships are holding position. Our colonies on Mars and Europa report they have about 2 months of supplies left." The President nodded. "We've prepared a special operation. Commander Diane Lopes will brief you within the hour. This stays between us, Kevin." After the call ended, Commander Lopes arrived at the station. She was shorter than Kevin expected, with dark eyes that missed nothing. "Admiral, I'm here about Operation Lifeline," she said once they were alone. "We've developed a new technology that might save our colonies." She showed him plans for a small fleet of supply ships equipped with what the engineers called a shadow drive. The technology bent light around the vessels, making them nearly impossible to detect. "Will it work?" Kevin asked. "We think so, but we need to test it against the Council's detection systems." Kevin understood the risk. If they failed, the Council might see it as an act of aggression. If they did nothing, their people on Mars and Europa would starve. "You have my authorization, Commander. Godspeed." While Earth prepared its secret mission, the Council was facing its own problems. In the grand meeting chamber, representatives argued loudly with each other. "This blockade is a waste of resources," said Krell, the Keldari representative. His silver skin reflected the chamber's lights as he gestured in frustration. "Humans have made no aggressive moves. Perhaps we should open real negotiations." "Weakness," shouted Vrax of the Vrel Imperium, his insect-like mandibles clicking. "Humans must learn their place in the galaxy. We should invade now while they are isolated." Speaker Zixvora struggled to maintain order. "The blockade will continue until humans accept our terms. That is final." Tulbex of the Bortarian Merchant Guild rose slowly. "My people report significant trade losses. The humans had begun purchasing rare metals and technologies. Our quarterly profits are down 15%. Zixvora dismissed these concerns with a wave of his upper arms. "Temporary economic discomfort is worth the long-term benefit of proper human integration." The meeting ended without resolution, but the cracks in Council unity were growing wider. Back in Earth's solar system, Commander Lopes led 5 small ships toward the blockade. From the bridge of her vessel, the Swift Asterisk, she watched as the shadow drive activated. The ship's outlines blurred, then seemed to disappear against the blackness of space. "All ships, maintain communication silence," she ordered. "Follow the planned route through Sector 7. The small fleet moved slowly through the blockade line. On a Council warship, a sensor operator frowned at his screen. For a moment, he thought he detected something unusual, but the reading disappeared before he could confirm it. 2 days later, the supply ships reached Mars. As colonists unloaded critical medicines, food, and equipment, Lopes sent a coded message back to Earth. "Delivery complete. Shadow effective. Council blind." When Admiral Howard delivered the news to President Garcia, the older man smiled for the first time in months. "Now we know something they don't know we know," the President said. They think they have us trapped, but we can move right past them. In the council chamber, an emergency alert sounded. Speaker HFY received a disturbing report. Human colony activity on Mars had increased, not decreased as expected under the blockade. Impossible, he muttered. They cannot have broken through our lines without detection. But they had, and the Council's carefully constructed image of superiority was beginning to crumble. Thrix moved silently through the dark hallways of the Council Intelligence Headquarters. As the Chief Information Officer for the Council, he had access to all reports from across the galaxy. What he had discovered in the past few hours disturbed him deeply. He entered Speaker HFY's private chamber without announcing himself. The speaker looked up in surprise. "This had better be important, Thrix," HFY said. "It is," Thrix replied, placing a data tablet on the desk. "Humans have been studying us for months, possibly longer, before we even made official contact." HFY's 6 eyes blinked rapidly. "Explain." "We've identified at least 37 human scientists, traders, and diplomats who established relationships with various council species before the blockade. They gathered information systematically, cultural practices, technological capabilities, political divisions, everything." The speaker scrolled through the report. "How did we miss this?" "Because they never ask about our weapons or defenses," Thrix said. "They ask about art, food, family structures. Things we freely shared because they seemed harmless." On Earth, Dr. Alan Parker worked in a secure underground facility. As head of Earth's Sinopolitical Analysis Division, he had coordinated the information gathering that now had the Council so worried. "Look at this pattern," Alan said, pointing to a holographic display. His assistant, Maria Rodriguez, studied the complex web of connections between Council species. "The Araxians control the Vrel through shared military technology," Alan continued. "The Keldari are kept in check through resource restrictions. Every species is controlled through a specific vulnerability." Maria nodded. "And they tried to do the same to us with their terms." "Exactly. By refusing, we disrupted their entire system." Alan adjusted his glasses. "If we can show the lesser council members how they're being manipulated." A soft alarm interrupted him. Maria checked the security feed and frowned. "Someone's bypassed the outer perimeter," she said quietly. Alan quickly transferred their research to a secure storage device. "Activate Emergency Protocol 3. Moments later, a shadowy figure slipped into the lab. The assassin moved with unnatural speed, heading straight for Alan's workstation. Maria reacted without hesitation. She grabbed the laser cutter from a nearby table and fired. The assassin dropped to the floor. "Come on," Maria said, pulling Alan toward the emergency exit. "We need to get you and the data to safety." As they escaped through underground tunnels, the Council was meeting in an emergency session. The chamber was tense as Thrix finished his report. "Humans know more about us than we know about them," he concluded. "They've been mapping our weaknesses. This proves we must take stronger action." Vrax of the Vrel insisted. "We should destroy their colonies as a warning." For the first time, Koldar of the Keldari stood up to directly challenge the Council leadership. His silver skin gleamed under the lights as he spoke. "Perhaps what we should do is offer humans fair terms," he suggested. "If they have studied us so thoroughly, they know our strengths as well as our weaknesses. They chose not to attack, but to simply refuse our unfair demands." Speaker HFY slammed all 4 of his hands onto the table. "You suggest rewarding their defiance? Impossible." "I call for a formal vote," Koldar insisted, "on a proposal to abandon punitive measures and offer humans membership with equal rights." The vote failed, with the 4 dominant species overruling the others. But 3 species abstained from voting, something that had never happened before in Council history. After the session, Koldar spoke quietly with representatives from the Nuvian Collective and the Bortarian Merchant Guild. "The Council is losing its way," he told them. "Perhaps it is time to consider alternatives." Back on Earth, Alan and Maria delivered their research to President Garcia and Admiral Howard. The Council is not united, Allen explained. Their alliance is built on coercion, not cooperation. The President nodded thoughtfully. Then we don't need to defeat all of them. We just need to break their control over each other. Admiral Howard smiled for the first time in weeks. Mr. President, I believe we have an opportunity here that goes far beyond just defending Earth. I agree, said the President. It's time to move from defense to diplomacy. But this time, on our terms. 6 months into the blockade, a small Earth ship slipped through Council lines. Unlike the supply runs to Mars and Europa, this mission had a different purpose. Special Envoy Samuel Wright sat alone in his cabin, reviewing files on the 4 Council species he planned to meet: the Keldari, the Nuvians, the Talaxians, and the Jorvik. Entering Keldari space, Mr. Wright, the pilot, called over the intercom. Their escort ships are approaching. Samuel straightened his blue suit and touched the small pin on his label, Earth's new symbol of a handshake overlaid on a star field. Good. Let them guide us in. On the Keldari homeworld, silver-skinned beings watched the human ship land with curiosity. Koldar, who had spoken up in the Council, waited at the landing pad. Welcome to Keldaria, Mr. Wright, he said when Samuel emerged. Your visit must remain secret. If the Council learns of it, I understand the risk you're taking, Samuel replied. That's why what I'm about to offer is worth it. In a secure meeting room, representatives from all 4 species gathered. Samuel activated a holographic display showing trade routes, resource deposits, and technological exchanges. Earth proposes exclusive partnerships with your worlds, he explained. We offer fair trade agreements, cultural exchanges, and shared technological development, things the Council has denied you for centuries. The Nuvian representative, a being made of shifting blue crystal, leaned forward. Why would humans share technology with us when the Council does not? Because we believe growth comes from cooperation, not control, Samuel said. Earth doesn't want servants. We want allies. Meanwhile, on Earth, engineer Nicole Foster worked in a massive testing facility. Sweat dripped from her forehead as she adjusted the controls of what looked like a large satellite dish. Power level stable, her assistant called out. Ready for test 17. Nicole nodded. Activate the weapons array. On the other side of the room, a series of Council weapon systems, obtained through both diplomacy and espionage, fired at a small target. Just before impact, Nicole's device activated. The energy beams curved away from the target, dissipating harmlessly. It works. Nicole shouted, pumping her fist in the air. The defensive redirection array works. Admiral Howard, watching from an observation deck, smiled. How soon can we deploy it to our ships and colonies? 2 weeks for the first units, Nicole replied. A month for full coverage. The Admiral nodded. Excellent. The Council is getting impatient. Their ships have been testing our defenses more aggressively. Days later, 3 Council warships approached Earth's defense perimeter. They fired warning shots, expecting the humans to retreat. Instead, the Earth ships held position. The Araxian commander ordered a more direct demonstration. Fire disabling shots at their lead vessel. Energy weapons lashed out, but just before impact, the beams curved away, dissolving into harmless light. What happened? The commander demanded. Unknown, sir, his weapons officer replied. The weapons fired correctly, but it's as if the energy was redirected. Back at Council headquarters, an emergency session was called. Speaker Zixvor's face showed rare concern as he addressed the chamber. We have disturbing news, he announced. 4 member species have been engaging in unauthorized contact with humans. The chamber erupted in shouts and accusations. Further, Zixvora continued, they have informed us they are leaving the Council to form separate alliances with Earth. The representative from the Vortarian Merchant Guild stood. The humans offer fair exchange, while you demand submission. Is it surprising they found willing partners? This is treason, Vrax of the Vrel shouted, his mandibles clicking furiously. No, replied Koldar calmly. This is choice. For too long, the Council has been dominated by 4 species who use the rest of us for resources and labor while limiting our development. Speaker Zixvora struck the table with all 4 hands. The Council has maintained peace for 10,000 years. Peace through control is not true peace, Koldar responded. Humans understand this. That is why they refuse your terms, and that is why we now refuse them too. As the 4 species representatives walked out, the remaining council members turned on each other, hurling accusations about who was to blame for this unprecedented disaster. Dr. Alan Parker stood before President Garcia and a team of Earth's top communications experts. The room was filled with screens showing alien news broadcasts, social media, and public forums from across council space. Operation Truth begins today, Alan said. Thanks to our information gathering, we know exactly how the Council has been lying to its own people. On the main screen, he displayed a map of resource distribution among Council worlds. It clearly showed how the 4 dominant species, Araxians, Vrel, Jaxadoon, and Pix, controlled 90% of all valuable materials. Most ordinary citizens on Council worlds don't know this, Alan explained. They believe resources are shared fairly. They don't realize their leaders have been hoarding wealth and technology for centuries. President Garcia nodded. And you can get this information to them. Yes, sir. Our new allies have given us access to their communication networks. We can bypass Council censors. Do it, the President ordered. Across 100 worlds, the truth began to spread. Ordinary citizens of Council species woke up to find their communication devices showing evidence of corruption, resource hoarding, and suppression of technological advancement. The data was undeniable, backed by the Council's own secret records that human intelligence had obtained. On the Jaxadine homeworld, crowds gathered outside government buildings. Their tentacled bodies swayed in agitation as they demanded answers. Similar scenes played out on every Council planet as the carefully maintained illusion of fairness crumbled. In the Council chamber, Speaker Zixvora was shouting, "Find the source of these transmissions and shut them down." "We can't," said the communications officer. "They're coming through too many channels at once." The Bortarian representative, Vex Toll, rose from his seat. His wide, frog-like face showed no emotion as he spoke. "The Bortarian Merchant Guild is formally withdrawing from the Council," he announced. "We have signed a separate treaty with Earth." Another traitor, Vrax of the Vrel, hissed. Vexed, Toll turned to face him. "We are traitors. We recognize a better deal when we see one. Humans understand fair exchange. You understand only domination." As he walked out, 3 more representatives stood and announced their own departures from the Council. The chamber, once home to 12 united species, now held only 4, the Araxians, Vrel, Jaxadine, and Pix. Speaker Zixvora watched his power crumbling before his eyes. "This is human manipulation. They are turning us against each other." "No," said the Talaxian representative before leaving. "Humans merely showed us what was already there." On Earth, Nickel Foster's defensive technology had been fully deployed. Earth ships now moved freely through the solar system, ignoring the increasingly irrelevant Council blockade. In a secure communication room, President Garcia spoke with leaders of Earth's new alien allies. "The transition must be peaceful," the President said. "Our goal is not to destroy the Council, but to replace it with something better." Koldar of the Keldari nodded his silver head. For the first time in thousands of years, lesser species have hope for true equality. Back in the Council chamber, what remained of the once mighty alliance was falling apart. The Jaxadine representative pointed a tentacle at the Vrel. "Your aggressive stance against humans started this disaster." The Araxians pushed for the unfair membership terms. The Pix delegate shouted. Speaker Zixvora could not maintain order as accusations flew across the room. Thousands of years of hidden resentments burst forth at once. On his private ship returning to Earth, Samuel Wright received reports of the Council's collapse. "We never wanted to destroy them," he said quietly to his aide. "We just wanted to be treated fairly. Sometimes systems need to break before they can be rebuilt better," his aide replied. Samuel nodded. "Phase 1 is complete. Now comes the harder part, building something new that works for everyone." As his ship approached Earth, the last reports came in. Protests had spread to every council world. The old order was ending. What would replace it remained to be seen. But for the first time, humans would have a hand in shaping the galaxy's future. Speaker Zixvora paced in his private chamber. His 6 eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of extreme stress among Araxians. Only 4 species remained loyal to the Council now. Their power base was shrinking daily as more worlds signed separate treaties with humans and their growing alliance. "There must be a way to regain control," he muttered to himself. His chief military advisor, General Kraz, stood silently by the door. "There is one option, Speaker," he finally said. "A direct strike against Earth's leadership." Zixvora stopped pacing. "Explain." "Our intelligence reports that Earth's diplomatic headquarters will host a major meeting in 3 days. All their senior leadership and many of their new alien allies will attend. A small, elite team could eliminate their command structure in one strike." "Assassination," Zixvora said quietly, "against diplomatic personnel." "Desperate times require desperate measures," Kraz replied. "Without their leaders, the human alliance will falter." After a long silence, Zixvora nodded. "Prepare your best team. This operation must not fail." On Earth, Patrick Coleman ran a final security check of the diplomatic center in Geneva. As head of Earth's security forces, he took personal responsibility for this historic meeting. Representatives from Earth and 8 former Council species would finalize the framework for their new interstellar alliance. "All perimeter sensors active," reported his deputy, Linda Watson. "Aerial defenses online." Patrick nodded. "Good. But remember, we're expecting a more direct approach." Linda looked puzzled. "Sir, based on the intelligence from our Keldari friends, the remaining council members are growing desperate. We need to be ready for anything." Thousands of miles above Earth, a small Araxian ship with special stealth technology approached. Inside, 6 elite operatives prepared their weapons. They had trained for years for missions like this, though they had never targeted a species as unknown as humans. "Remember, priority targets are President Garcia and the Keldari leader Koldar," the team leader said. "Without them, this alliance falls apart." The ship entered Earth's atmosphere using a complex approach designed to avoid detection. But as they descended toward Geneva, a warning light flashed on their control panel. "We're being tracked," the pilot said in disbelief. In the security center, Patrick watched the incoming ship on his monitors. "Right on schedule," he said calmly. "Activate containment protocol." Outside, hidden defense systems locked onto the Araxian vessel, not with weapons, but with tractor fields that gently but firmly guided the ship to a secured landing pad surrounded by Earth defense forces. When the Araxian team emerged, ready to fight, they found 50 human soldiers with weapons trained on them. "Welcome to Earth," Patrick said through a translator. "Your assassination mission is over before it began." The lead Araxian looked shocked. "How did you know?" Patrick smiled. "We've been studying you for years. Did you think we wouldn't recognize Araxian desperation tactics? Your people always resort to assassination when diplomacy fails." Across the galaxy, video of the failed assassination attempt spread to every world. Humans had not only anticipated the attack, but had handled it without bloodshed. The captured Araxians were treated well, given proper food and comfortable quarters while they awaited transport back to their homeworld. President Garcia addressed the planet from the steps of the diplomatic center, the very place the Araxians had intended to attack. "Citizens of Earth and our galactic friends," he began. "Today we witnessed the last gasp of a failing system. We never wanted war. We only wanted respect. Those who offer friendship will find no better ally than humanity. Those who offer threats will find no worse enemy. As his speech was broadcast across space, the final blow to the old council came swiftly. The Jaxodine and Pex representatives announced their immediate withdrawal from what remained of the council, leaving only the Araxians and Vrel. In the nearly empty council chamber, Speaker Zixvora watched the screens in disbelief. The organization that had stood for 10,000 years had been dismantled in less than one Earth year, all because humans had simply refused to be treated as lesser beings. "What have we done?" he whispered to the empty room. 1 year after first contact, a gleaming new space station orbited Europa, Jupiter's moon. Unlike the old council headquarters with its imposing architecture designed to intimidate, this station featured open spaces and equal-sized meeting areas for all species. Captain Lisa Mitchell, now Earth's ambassador to the new Galactic Assembly, stood by a large window watching ships arrive. She recognized vessels from 14 different species, including several that had once been part of the Council. "It's hard to believe how much has changed in just 1 year," said Koldar of the Keldari, joining her at the window. His silver skin reflected the light from distant Jupiter. Lisa smiled. "Sometimes change happens slowly. Sometimes it happens all at once. I must confess," Koldar said, "we never understood why you refused to negotiate with the Council. Many new species accept unfair terms just to gain protection and trade." "It was simple," Lisa replied. "The Council wanted to dictate terms, not negotiate them. Humans have long experience with bullies. We knew if we gave in once, the demands would never end." They walked together toward the main chamber where delegates were gathering to sign the Europan Accords. This new agreement established a different kind of interstellar governance, one based on principles humans had suggested. Inside, President Garcia stood with representatives from all 14 species. The room hummed with dozens of languages being quietly translated. When Lisa and Koldar entered, the president nodded for the ceremony to begin. "Today we establish the Galactic Assembly," President Garcia announced. "Unlike the old council, our foundation is built on 4 key principles." He displayed the text of the accords for all to see. First, all species would have equal voting rights regardless of their technology level. Second, no interference would be allowed in the internal affairs of any species. Third, technology would be shared openly, with safety oversight by all members. Fourth, trade would be free with fair standards for workers and environments. After each representative signed, they added a small item to a display case in the center of the room, cultural artifacts representing their worlds. Earth contributed a simple olive branch, an ancient symbol of peace. As the ceremony concluded, an unexpected message arrived. A communication officer handed Lisa the data tablet. Her eyebrows rose in surprise. "Mr. President," she said, "the Araxians and Vrel have sent a formal petition to join the Assembly." A murmur spread through the room. These were the last holdouts from the old council, the species that had been most aggressive toward Earth. "What do you recommend, Ambassador Mitchell?" the president asked. Lisa thought for a moment before answering. "I believe we should admit them under the exact same terms as everyone else." Koldar looked surprised. After everything they did, the blockade, the assassination attempt. "If we treat them differently," Lisa explained, "we become what we fought against. The whole point was to create something better than the Council, a place where even former enemies can become partners through fair treatment." President Garcia nodded. "I agree. Send word that their petition will be reviewed according to standard procedures. No special treatment, good or bad." Later, on her private shuttle returning to Earth, Lisa reviewed footage of the former council speaker Zixvora. Now stripped of power, he watched from his homeworld as the new assembly took shape. His expression was one of disbelief. Lisa understood his confusion. The council had spent thousands of years building power through control and fear. They could not comprehend how humans had succeeded in just 1 year by offering respect and fairness instead. Her shuttle passed the moon, and Earth came into view. a blue marble hanging in space. Lisa smiled at the sight of home. Humans had not just survived their first contact with alien life. They had changed the course of galactic history by simply refusing to be treated as anything less than equals. The old council was gone. A new era had begun. And it all started because humans refused to negotiate on unfair terms.